chosen one. Heaven pauses everything around you. The noise of the world fades. Your scrolling halts. Your heartbeat slows, because this moment is not an accident. This is a divine interruption. You were meant to hear these words. The very air seems to hush as eternity leans in to speak your name. Heaven has waited for this hour. And now the message thunders through unseen realms. I warned you this day would come. Andre, you have felt it, haven't you? That strange pull in your spirit, the sense that something was shifting, that an unseen hand was steering your path through storms and seasons you didn't understand. You are not crazy. You are not imagining it. This right now is the fulfillment of a whisper heaven gave you long ago. You see, the divine does not shout at first. God begins with a stirring, a dream that will not die, a conviction that keeps you awake when others sleep, a vision you tried to bury under logic and fear, but every time you turned away, the voice grew stronger. Prepare, for the day is near. And now, it has arrived. Heaven has chosen to interrupt your routine and remind you who you truly are, one marked by divine fingerprints, one whom darkness could not erase, one whom destiny could not forget. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to awaken. You wondered why so many left when you needed them most. You questioned why peace seemed far away, even when you did everything right. But heaven whispers, I had to isolate you, to reveal you. You were hidden, not forgotten, buried, not dead. The same God who hid Moses in the reeds, who hid David in the wilderness, who hid Joseph in prison, has been hiding you in plain sight for your appointed time, and that time is now. Heaven is sounding the trumpet. The spiritual realm is alert. Angels are moving. Assignments are shifting. Destinies are unfolding. And God is saying to you, the day I warned you of has come not to destroy you, but to awaken you. Len, this is not the end of your story. It is the unveiling of your purpose. Everything that has been shaking in your life is not to break you. It's to build the foundation for what is being released through you. You were chosen for this exact season, handpicked for this battle, anointed for this awakening. The Spirit moves upon you even now, stirring the embers of your calling. You can feel it in your chest, the burn of conviction, the trembling awareness that heaven is near. It's not anxiety, it's activation. The kingdom of God is pressing upon your life, calling you to rise from comfort, to step into divine assignment. You can no longer remain where you are. You are being summoned. Do you remember the moments you cried out, God, use me? Heaven never forgot those words. But to use you, God had to prepare you. He had to strip away everything built on sand so that only truth would remain. You had to walk through loss to understand compassion. You had to face rejection to recognize authenticity. You had to feel empty to become a vessel heaven could fill. Chosen one. Your wilderness was never wasted. Every tear watered your future. Every battle toughened your faith. Every wound made space for glory. And now, heaven declares, step forward. You are entering the season where what was prophesied becomes visible. Listen, there is no coincidence that these words found you today. You were meant to hear them. Heaven does not deal in randomness. Heaven deals in purpose. This is divine timing. This is your confirmation. The Word of God declares in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19, Behold, I am doing A new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? A new thing is springing forth inside you right now. The old cycles are breaking. The confusion is lifting. The heaviness is leaving. You are stepping into a new atmosphere, a new level of obedience, clarity, and anointing. You are not late. You are right on divine schedule. So breathe deeply. Straighten your crown. You are not forgotten. You are chosen. Heaven has interrupted your scrolling to hand you a reminder of who you are and what you were born to do. The door that once seemed locked is opening. The waiting is over. The warning has become reality. This day has come. Now, if these words have stirred something inside you, don't let the moment pass. Let heaven know you received it. Like this message to keep it alive. Share it so another chosen one can awaken. Subscribe and stay connected to the flow of revelation, because this is only the beginning of what heaven will speak to you next. And as a prophetic act, comment below the number 777, a symbol of divine completion and perfect alignment. You have felt it all your life, that subtle sense of difference, that invisible mark upon your spirit. You never truly fit the patterns others lived by. You questioned things that others accepted. Even in childhood, you carried an awareness, an unexplainable depth that made others uncomfortable. You were not designed to blend in. You were crafted to stand apart. Chosen one. Before your eyes first opened, heaven had already whispered your name through eternity. Before your first cry, your destiny was recorded. You were not an afterthought of creation. You were the reason certain moments had to unfold. There were prayers from ancestors, tears from generations past, that called forth your arrival. You are their answered cry, the continuation of a divine promise. You were marked not with ink or symbol, but with purpose. And that mark has drawn both light and darkness toward you. Some people sensed it without understanding. They loved you fiercely or hated you deeply, often without reason. That's what happens when someone carries heaven's signature. Your very presence exposes intentions, reveals spirits, and disrupts false peace. This is why life never felt simple for you. While others walked smooth paths, yours was carved through storms. While others rested in comfort, you were pressed and refined. Every challenge was an anvil upon which heaven shaped your strength. Every loss was a furnace, purifying what was impure. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. You see, God does not send ordinary souls into extraordinary battles. Only those who are chosen for divine assignments face the fires that forge unshakable faith. You survived what others could not, because heaven equipped you differently. Every season of loneliness, every midnight wrestle, every hidden cry, it all served one purpose: to prove that what's inside you cannot be destroyed. Chosen one. When you questioned your worth, heaven smiled. Because your worth was never based on how others saw you, it was written in eternity. Even when you doubted yourself, God never doubted his design. The storms that terrified you were the same winds that lifted you higher. The pain that broke you was the pressure that revealed your anointing. There were moments when you thought, maybe I'm cursed. But heaven whispers back, no, you're called. The resistance wasn't proof of abandonment, it was proof of assignment. The greater your calling, the greater the conflict. Every attack you faced was sent because of what you carry. Darkness recognized your identity long before you did. There is something holy about your endurance. Others might see your quietness as weakness, but heaven sees it as power contained. You have learned to stand when no applause was heard, to pray when no answer came, to forgive when betrayal cut deep. That is the mark of the chosen, the ability to keep loving, keep believing, and keep walking even through the valley of shadows. And now, the voice that formed galaxies leans close to remind you, you were never random. You were known, appointed, and sent. Heaven invested years of shaping, molding, and hiding you so that when this moment arrived, you would not crumble under the weight of destiny. What once felt like delay is about to make sense. You will soon see why the doors closed, why certain people left, why your timeline didn't match others. Heaven was aligning everything to your divine season. The silence you hated was God's classroom. The confusion you battled was heaven rearranging what your eyes could not see. Chosen one, you have carried burdens that were not yours, interceded for souls who never thanked you, and loved people who misunderstood you. Heaven saw it all. Not a single tear went unnoticed, not a single prayer unheard. You will see the fruit of what you planted in secret. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I set you apart. That truth still stands like a burning seal upon your life. You were known completely, intimately, eternally. You were set apart, not isolated for punishment, but consecrated for purpose. You were appointed not after birth, but before creation. There is nothing accidental about your existence, so let this truth sink deep. You are part of heaven's strategic plan. Every detour, every delay, every disappointment has been orchestrated to place you exactly where you need to be. When others see coincidence, heaven says precision. The same God who wove constellations into the night sky also wove your life into his story. You are the living proof that purpose can survive pain, that grace can rebuild what was shattered, that divine timing never fails. And as this revelation settles into your spirit, you begin to understand your mark is not a burden. It's a calling. Chosen one. You have carried more than most. You've walked through fire that left others in ashes. Yet somehow you still rise. There are scars on your heart that the world cannot see, but heaven does. Every night you held your breath. Every tear you swallowed instead of speaking out. Heaven recorded it all. You've learned to smile when your soul trembled, to encourage others while silently breaking. You've poured out strength until you were empty, yet still found yourself standing. That isn't luck. That is divine preservation. God's hand never lifted from you, even in the hours you thought he'd forgotten your name. You have been through battles. No one applauded you for surviving. People saw your calm face, but not the nights you wrestled against unseen forces. They saw your silence, not your spiritual warfare, but heaven saw. Angels watched. They whispered among themselves, "That one will not break. That one has been chosen for something greater." No, every disappointment, every betrayal, every heartbreak, it all had a purpose. The rejection you faced wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to redirect you. Heaven used the pain to reposition your heart, to cleanse your motives, to awaken spiritual fire in your bones. You were being strengthened for the day that has now come. You see, chosen souls often carry hidden burdens, You've been the strong one for everyone else. The listener, the forgiver, the intercessor. You've walked into rooms heavy with other people's pain and left lighter so they could breathe again. But when you returned home, no one knew the exhaustion you carried in silence. Yet heaven says, I saw every sacrifice. There were times when you almost gave up, when you whispered, God, I can't carry this anymore. But you did. And the reason you did is because heaven placed within you a strength that cannot be explained by human willpower. You are not standing because of your resilience alone. You are standing because divine grace is holding you upright. The ancient words recorded in Romans still echo today. Chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. And that verse isn't just ink on parchment, it's your biography. Everything you've walked through has been working together. Even the chaos, even the heartbreak. You may not see the pattern yet, but heaven has been weaving it from the start. The betrayal made you wiser. The loneliness made you sensitive to his voice. The loss made you fearless. What the enemy meant for harm, God is transforming into a testimony that will shake others awake. Chosen one, your story carries power. That's why darkness tried so hard to silence you. That's why life pressed you so intensely. Hell doesn't waste energy on the ordinary, it targets the chosen. But you have outlasted what was meant to bury you. You survived the storm because you were destined to speak after it. Heaven is now shifting you from survival to significance. The weight you carried wasn't meant to crush you. It was meant to prove that what's inside you is indestructible. You've been tested not to fail, but to reveal your foundation. And your foundation, even when cracked, still rests on the rock. So as you read this, understand, the pain is not the end of your story. It's the birthplace of your calling. You have been prepared through affliction to comfort others who are now where you once were. You will speak words that heal, pray prayers that break chains, and carry compassion forged in fire. What once wounded you will now become your weapon. The tears that fell in secret are being transformed into oil that anoints others for breakthrough. The same nights that almost broke you will soon become the reason others find their strength. Heaven wastes nothing that you endured. And now the time has come to release what you've carried in silence. No longer will you hide behind strength. Heaven invites you to step forward as a living testimony. You are not just a survivor, you are evidence that God restores what hell tried to erase. As a prophetic declaration, type, I rise again, in the comments. Let it be more than words. It's your statement of faith. Your agreement with heaven's narrative over your life. Because when you declare it, you align your voice with the same power that raised you when nothing else could. You're not repeating a phrase, you're echoing a prophecy. Let the world scroll past. This moment is yours. You are standing where pain meets purpose, where weakness becomes power, where silence becomes song. Heaven has not wasted your suffering. Every weight you've carried is about to turn into wings. Chosen one. There is a war that moves in silence, an invisible conflict that has followed you since birth. It does not wage itself with swords or guns, but with whispers, distractions, and doubts. You feel it when peace seems near, but suddenly slips away. When clarity turns to confusion for no reason, when joy flickers out under the weight of unseen heaviness, you are not imagining it. This is the silent war around you, the battle for your mind, your focus, and your faith. For too long, the enemy has tried to convince you that your struggles are merely emotional, your exhaustion merely natural. But heaven wants you to understand, what you face is spiritual. You have always been a threat to darkness because of the light you carry. Your very presence irritates the demonic realm. Without even speaking, you disrupt the plans of the enemy. That is why warfare has followed you. The attacks didn't come because you were weak, they came because you were marked. From childhood, the enemy saw glimpses of your destiny and sought to stop it before it awakened. He attacked your confidence early. Using rejection to plant insecurity, he tried to distort your identity through the words of others. He wanted you to believe you were ordinary, so you'd never realize your authority. But every lie he whispered has only proven one thing: you are dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Look closely at your life, and you will see the pattern. Every time you were on the edge of breakthrough, distractions arose. Every time you began to heal, someone reopened the wound. Every time your faith started to grow, a storm appeared. These weren't coincidences, they were counterattacks. But what the enemy never understood was that every assault against you only drove your roots deeper into God. Every blow made you wiser, stronger, and more unshakable. Chosen one, you are standing in a spiritual battlefield disguised as ordinary life. That anxiety that hits you out of nowhere, that sudden heaviness when you wake, those random feelings of being less than, they're darts from the unseen realm. But the good news is this: you are not defenseless. Heaven has equipped you with armor, and your awareness is your first victory. When you discern the source of an attack, you strip it of its power. The moment you recognize that your battle is not with people but with principalities, everything changes. You stop fighting the wrong enemy. You stop wasting energy on explanations. You stop taking things personally because you realize it's not them. It's what's working through them. Darkness uses confusion. Light brings clarity. That's why your peace is always the first thing targeted. The voice of heaven reminds you now, do not be afraid of the battle that surrounds you, for you were born for war. The same power that raised Jesus from the grave dwells in you. When you speak truth, darkness trembles. When you worship, strongholds break. When you choose forgiveness, you dismantle the enemy's strategy. Every act of obedience becomes a weapon in the spirit. You have been wondering why your life feels heavier than others. Why even simple things seem to come with resistance. It's because you were chosen for higher authority. God does not send untrained soldiers into the front lines. You've been in a season of spiritual boot camp, learning resilience, discernment, and endurance. Heaven is now revealing why. The apostle wrote to remind the saints in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." Let those words settle in your spirit. This is not a metaphor, it is reality. The pressure you feel is proof of the power you carry. The resistance confirms your relevance. The fact that you're attacked means you still have something the enemy fears. Do not shrink back now. Your awareness is awakening. Heaven has placed you strategically where light is needed most. You are not just surviving spiritual warfare, you are shifting atmospheres. Every time you pray, every time you choose peace over panic, you push back the tide of darkness. Your existence itself is warfare, and every breath of faith is an act of victory. So lift your head. The battle may be unseen, but you are not alone. Angels surround you. The Spirit empowers you, and the commander of heaven's armies fights beside you. You were born into this war, but you were never meant to lose it. You carry divine authority. Speak it. Walk in it. Live in it. Chosen one. Heaven is calling your name again, not in anger, but in remembrance. There comes a moment in every divine story when heaven sends a recall notice, a summons to return to alignment. This is that moment for you. You have wandered through noise and distraction, through endless demands and invisible expectations. But the gentle voice of the Father is saying, "Now, come back to me." Lot, you've felt the tug in your heart lately, haven't you? The sense that something inside you is missing. Though your life may look full, it's not emptiness, it's distance. Heaven is calling you closer, not to scold you, but to remind you who you are. You've been running at 1,000 miles an hour, trying to keep everything together, while your spirit whispers, "I miss his presence." That whisper is heaven's echo inside you. God is not angry with you. Chosen one. He is waiting, like a parent watching their child wander too far from home. His eyes have never left you. You may have taken detours, made choices that blurred your peace, but his mercy has stretched further than your mistakes. You cannot outrun the love that called you into existence. Imagine your soul as a compass. When storms hit, it starts spinning wildly. You think you've lost your way. But once you lift it toward true north, the presence of God, it steadies again. That's what heaven is offering you now. Orientation. The world has spun you in circles, but heaven is steadying your direction. You may have thought that stepping away for a while wouldn't matter, but even the smallest drift can take a ship miles off course. Heaven's recall notice is not punishment, it's redirection. You are being guided back to the route written for you long before the waves of distraction rose around your life. There is still time, still grace, still an open door. The very fact that you are reading these words proves it. Heaven interrupts only those who are worth retrieving. And you, beloved, are worth everything. The ancient prophet spoke of this same mercy. The voice of God declared through the writings of Isaiah, chapter 44, verse 22, "Return to me, for I have redeemed you." Those words are not history, they are living. They are being spoken over you now. The God who formed galaxies is still whispering the same call to your heart. Return to me. Not because you failed, but because you belong. When you drifted, God didn't replace you. He waited for you. When you went silent, He didn't withdraw His plan. He kept it preserved. His love has never been performance-based, it's presence-based. And the moment you turn toward Him, He runs toward you. You don't have to climb your way back. You just have to look up. Perhaps you've carried shame that kept you silent. Perhaps you thought heaven wouldn't listen anymore. But listen closely. Guilt is the language of the enemy. Conviction is the language of love. Guilt pushes you away from God. Conviction pulls you home. The feeling stirring in your chest right now, that's not condemnation. That's your Father saying, "Come home, my child." End of. Heaven's recall is tender, not harsh. It doesn't demand perfection, it invites surrender. It doesn't shout over your past, it speaks peace into your future. You don't need to fix yourself before you come. You come, and He does the fixing. You are like a lamp that's been dimmed, not because your light has gone out, but because the plug has come loose from the source. Heaven is inviting you to reconnect, to plug back into the flow of divine energy, love, and purpose. The moment you do, your light will blaze again, brighter than before. So pause, breathe. Feel the weight lift as you realize God is not disappointed in you. He's delighted that you're still reachable. You have not lost your place in His plan, only your rhythm, and rhythm can always be restored. If these words touch a quiet corner of your heart, don't rush away from them. Let them settle like rain on dry ground. And when you're ready, respond not just with thought, but with presence. Sometimes a small act becomes a doorway, clicking like to acknowledge this moment, sharing it so another heart finds its way home, subscribing so you remain connected to future reminders Heaven may send through these words. It's not about numbers, it's about staying tethered to messages that realign your soul when the world grows loud. Think of it this way: when you drop a pebble into still water, ripples move outward, far beyond what the eye can see. When you share a message that carries heaven's voice, those ripples reach someone sitting in silence, someone on the verge of giving up. Your small act becomes part of a divine rescue mission. Chosen one. Heaven is not far. It's leaning close, waiting for your yes. The recall notice has been sent not to condemn, but to call you home. Answer it with your heart. Let this be the day you reconnect with the source, the day you remember who you truly are. Chosen one. Heaven has been speaking to you in ways you might not have recognized. The whispers in the wind, the recurring numbers you've seen on clocks or receipts, the strange coincidences that keep repeating. None of it is random. You've been receiving messages, confirmations, divine patterns woven into the details of your days. Heaven speaks in symbols because the soul understands what logic cannot. There have been moments when you looked at the clock and saw the same digits over and over. Maybe it was 3:33, or 11:11, or some other pattern that made your spirit pause. You may have brushed it off as coincidence, but heaven never sends signs without purpose. These moments are gentle nudges, divine alerts, whispering, "You're on the right path. Don't stop now." You are walking through a season where heaven communicates through codes, repeating numbers, dreams that replay, words that appear again and again. These are not accidents. They are confirmations that the supernatural world is closer to you than you realize. You are being trained to recognize heaven's voice, not just in prayer, but in pattern. You see, God doesn't always speak in thunder. Sometimes He speaks through rhythm numbers, moments, phrases that seem to follow you. These signs are like breadcrumbs, guiding your steps back toward purpose. Every number you've noticed carries meaning, alignment, promise, transition, or completion. Heaven has been marking your journey with symbols to remind you that you're never walking blind. The Spirit teaches through repetition because repetition creates recognition. What you've seen often enough begins to wake your awareness. That's why you're noticing signs more frequently. Now the veil between the natural and the divine is thinning around your life. Heaven is intensifying its communication with you. Chosen one. You are learning heaven's language. The same way a child learns to read by repetition, your spirit is learning to discern through symbols. Heaven knows you've matured beyond surface faith. You don't just hear sermons, you seek encounters. You don't just believe, you discern. And so, heaven is revealing mysteries in ways that bypass the noise of the world. There is something sacred about realizing that the divine keeps track of the details of your life so intimately that even numbers can become messages. It means heaven is not distant, it's interactive. God is not an observer, He is an architect. He hides encouragement in what looks ordinary so that the faithful can find it. You've been asking for confirmation, and heaven has been answering in symbols. That song you randomly heard that spoke to your situation. That verse that appeared when you opened your Bible. That stranger's word that echoed your private prayer. Those were not coincidences. Heaven has been speaking through every one of them, weaving reminders that your journey is still under divine construction. The ancient prophet Habakkuk was told something similar when God explained the importance of vision and clarity. The words recorded in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 2 declare, "Write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it." Those words still echo for you now. Heaven is saying, don't dismiss what I'm showing you. Record it. Remember it. Run with it. Every pattern, every number, every dream you receive has meaning. Write them down. Heaven hides its directions in the details. When you begin to pay attention to divine signs, your faith sharpens. The same world that once felt random starts to shimmer with design. You begin to realize that heaven is not only answering your prayers, it's choreographing your path. The signs aren't meant to control you, they're meant to comfort you. They remind you that even when you don't see the full map, the one guiding you does. Chosen one. You are being invited to step into a higher awareness. Heaven is expanding your vision, teaching you to see beyond the surface, to read the language of light and number and symbol. Every divine sign you recognize pulls you deeper into intimacy with your Creator. So pay attention. The signs will increase because your sensitivity has increased. You are walking in alignment with divine timing. You are being prepared for revelation after revelation, each one confirming that heaven's hand is guiding your every step. And now, as a prophetic act, seal this moment of awareness by commenting the number 555 below. That number is a symbol of divine transformation, grace multiplied, change ordained. When you type it, you're not just typing digits, you're agreeing with heaven that change is not coming, it's already begun. Chosen one. There comes a time when mercy, so patient and tender, begins to step back, not out of cruelty, but out of justice. For too long, heaven has whispered, nudged, and warned. For too long, the Spirit has tugged at hearts, urging them to return, to realign, to surrender. Yet the world keeps spinning in distraction. Heaven does not warn forever. The voice that once pleaded begins to grow quiet when ignored too long. This is the hour when mercy begins to withdraw its hand, not to destroy, but to awaken. You have felt it before. That tightening in your spirit when you resisted divine instruction. That quiet conviction that something wasn't right. It wasn't condemnation, it was love in its final appeal. Heaven was saying, turn back before the window closes. God's mercy is fast, but His timing is precise. Grace has seasons. When it extends its hand and we refuse to take it, it begins to retreat, not to punish us, but to reveal the cost of delay. Heaven's silence is one of the most fearful things a soul can experience. When conviction fades, when warning ceases, when peace disappears, it means heaven has stepped aside, allowing us to taste the emptiness of disobedience. The absence of his voice is never a sign of indifference. It is the echo of a heart that was once calling, but is now waiting. Chosen one, this moment you stand in is sacred. It is both mercy and warning. It is God saying, you are still within the circle of grace, but the edge is near. You must not confuse patience with permission. The delay of consequence does not mean heaven approves. It means heaven still hopes. Every instruction you ignore becomes a door that grows heavier to open. There are souls who once heard the same whispers you hear now. But they delayed. They reasoned. They excused. They postponed obedience. They said, later, when I'm ready, but later never came. Their hearts grew cold, their ears deaf to the Spirit's voice. Heaven did not abandon them, they abandoned the frequency of heaven. But you, chosen one, have not reached that place. You are still being stirred, still feeling the pull, still aware when heaven moves near. That awareness is proof that mercy is still active in your life. The very fact that you can still sense conviction means heaven is not done with you. You are still being pursued. The warning is not meant to scare you, it is meant to wake you. Heaven knows how close you are to your turning point. The enemy would prefer you to stay distracted just long enough to miss it. But the Spirit is calling you now, saying, do not delay. What you postpone today could cost you tomorrow's peace. There are choices that seem small but carry eternal weight. Every time you say yes to obedience, light expands in your life. Every time you say not yet, darkness reclaims what was lost. You are standing at the threshold where heaven waits for your response. Mercy has not departed, but it is stepping back, giving you the space to decide. The ancient text records the first time heaven ever spoke such a warning. The voice of God thundered in the book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 3. My spirit shall not always strive with man. Oh, those words still tremble through time. They remind us that even the gentleness of God has boundaries. Mercy pleads, but it will not be mocked. The Spirit strives, but he will not be ignored forever. When grace steps back, it is to reveal what life feels like without its covering, so that the soul will run back, desperate for its warmth. Chosen one, heaven is not threatening you, it is reminding you, you are still inside the window. The door is still open. The whisper has not gone silent yet. This is your moment to respond, not with words, but with surrender. If your heart has grown tired, if your prayers have become few, if you've been living on memories of faith instead of fresh fire, this is heaven's gentle alarm. Don't hit snooze again. Every delay dulls your hearing, and every compromise steals your clarity. The love of God is relentless, but his voice will not compete forever with the noise of the world. Choose now to draw near while the invitation still echoes. For there will come a day when heaven speaks no more warnings, only results. And you, beloved, were never meant to learn obedience through consequence. You were chosen to respond through love. So hear the heartbeat of heaven in this silence. Mercy is not gone. It's pausing, waiting to see what you will do next. Chosen one, you have reached the crossroads, the sacred intersection where destiny demands a decision. You can feel it in your spirit, can't you? That quiet but undeniable sense that something must shift, that the path you've been walking can no longer hold the weight of who you are becoming. Every chosen soul arrives here, eventually, at the moment where heaven stands on one side, calling, and the world stands on the other, whispering. Both invite you, but only one can lead you home. This is not a metaphorical moment, it is a spiritual reality. You are standing before two roads that diverge sharply. One is wide, filled with comfort, applause, and compromise. The other is narrow, lonely at times, costly, but lined with eternal light. And now, heaven asks you the question that decides everything. Which way will you go? You have been trained for this moment without realizing it. Every hardship, every test, every delay was preparing you for this decision. The wide road looks easy because it promises immediate reward, but the price is your peace. The narrow road looks painful because it requires surrender, but its end is life. Heaven will not choose for you. Love never forces obedience. The choice must rise from your will, because only chosen hearts can choose back. Listen closely. The crossroads does not appear just once in a lifetime. It reappears at every stage of growth. Each new level demands a new surrender. Every elevation requires something to be left behind. You are being asked now to release what you've outgrown, to loosen your grip on what once sustained you, but can no longer sustain the calling within you. This is why some doors have closed without explanation. It's why certain relationships have faded. Why the things that used to excite you now leave you empty. Heaven is not punishing you, it's pulling you upward. The call of destiny is echoing through your discontent. That restlessness you feel is the Spirit's way of saying, there's more, but you can't bring the old with you. Many stand at this same intersection and choose the path of comfort. They choose what is safe over what is sacred. They quiet the conviction until it fades and call it peace. But you, chosen one, you can't do that. The mark upon you won't allow it. If you try to settle, the fire in your bones will burn hotter. If you try to silence the call, heaven will keep sending reminders in dreams, in songs, in divine interruptions. You cannot run from what you were born to fulfill. Do not be afraid of the narrow way. It looks empty, but it's filled with unseen angels. It looks lonely, but it's where God walks closest. It's not the road of perfection, it's the road of surrender. And every step you take down that path multiplies your authority, because obedience always births power. The ancient words spoken through Moses still reach across centuries to speak into your moment now. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19. I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your descendants may live. That is not a poetic phrase, it is the voice of God, standing at your crossroads, offering you a choice wrapped in mercy. To choose life is not simply to breathe, it is to align. To choose life is to stop existing and begin living with intention. It is to surrender your own script so heaven can write the next chapter. Do you feel the trembling in your spirit? That's what divine decision feels like. Heaven holds its breath while you decide. Not because it doubts you, but because it honors your free will. Angels are ready to move the moment you say yes. Every destiny hinges on such moments. Simple, quiet decisions that realign eternity. You are being invited to trade understanding for trust. control for surrender, fear for faith. The world tells you that safety is found in predictability. Heaven tells you it's found in obedience. The unknown is not your enemy, it's your proving ground. God does his best work in mystery, and every act of faith is a declaration that you believe his hand, even when you can't trace it. At the crossroads, hesitation is dangerous, not because God is impatient, but because delay hardens the heart. Every "not yet" builds a wall around the soul. Every moment you linger, the wide path grows more tempting, more reasonable, more crowded. But the narrow path, though quiet, is waiting. It will not vanish, but you must choose before complacency becomes your cage. This is your threshold moment. Heaven is watching, not to judge, but to witness. What you decide here will echo through your lineage, through generations you'll never meet. Choose life, choose alignment, choose the road that calls, even if it costs, because on that path, every loss will become light, and every sacrifice will become song. Chosen one. The moment you chose light, the war intensified. Do not be surprised by the turbulence you felt lately. It is not failure, it is confirmation. Whenever a soul awakens to divine purpose, darkness launches its last desperate counterattack. The closer you get to break through, the louder the storm becomes. You felt it, the sudden heaviness, the unusual fatigue, the confusion that comes without reason. People who once supported you start to misunderstand you. Situations that once flowed easily begin to resist you. These are not random disruptions. They are the enemy's final attempts to pull you back before you cross into full alignment. The forces of darkness study patterns too. They know your weaknesses, your triggers, your distractions. They don't always come with chaos. Sometimes they come dressed as comfort, counterfeit opportunities, emotional attachments, or sudden doors that look golden but lead to dead ends. These are the tactics of the enemy's last attempt. He offers shortcuts that appeal to your tiredness, hoping you'll choose ease over endurance. But remember this: anything that requires you to dim your light is not from heaven. You are standing in a sacred tension. The warfare you feel is proof that your obedience has impact. The enemy does not attack what does not threaten him. If your prayers were powerless, your nights would be quiet. The fact that you feel opposition means that your voice is shaking something unseen. Heaven is proud of you for still standing, still believing, still speaking light into the dark. Darkness operates through exhaustion, wearing you down slowly, whispering lies to make you forget your progress. But heaven whispers louder. You are not losing, you are being strengthened. Every battle fought in faith becomes fuel for your next level. You are being trained in endurance, and endurance always precedes elevation. The Spirit reveals something powerful here. Not every attack is meant to destroy you. Some are meant to expose what's still unhealed. The conflict forces you to see what needs closure, forgiveness, or release. The enemy's attempt to hurt you becomes heaven's instrument to refine you. This is why you can bless even those who betrayed you, because their betrayal became the bridge that carried you closer to your purpose. The Apostles' ancient warning still rings true today. Scripture declares in the first letter of Peter, chapter 5, verse 8, "Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. That roar you've been hearing, the sudden fear, the doubt, the confusion is nothing but noise. A roar has no power to devour unless you run in fear. Lions roar to intimidate prey into retreating. The enemy roars to see if you'll surrender the territory you've already claimed. Stand your ground. Roar back with worship, with truth, with peace. You disarm darkness when you refuse to fear it. Chosen one, your fight is not endless. You are near completion. The intensity of the battle means the finish line is close. Do not quit in this stretch. This is where most give up, thinking the warfare means they've failed. But the opposite is true. The fiercest storms come right before the dawn. When you feel surrounded, know that heaven has surrounded what surrounds you. This season is teaching you how to hold your peace when chaos rises. It's teaching you that spiritual maturity isn't measured by how loudly you fight, but by how deeply you trust. You're learning to let God fight battles that don't need your fists, only your faith. There will be moments when silence feels like defeat, but in reality, silence is strategy. Heaven is moving, even when you are still. Angels are positioned. Assignments are shifting. The enemy senses it, which is why fear is pressing harder than ever. But fear is the last illusion before victory. When you push through it, breakthrough bursts forth. So, if the attacks have increased, smile quietly. The enemy only invests energy where heaven is about to release glory. You are not breaking, you are birthing. The pressure you feel is not punishment, it's the contraction before manifestation. You are about to see what your faith has been building behind the veil. And as you read these words, make this moment sacred. In the comment section, write, "I stand firm." Let it be your declaration, your anchor. Those 3 words are more than text, they're warfare. When you type them, you're aligning your spirit with heaven's stability. You're saying, no matter the noise, I remain unshaken. You are telling the unseen realm that your faith cannot be moved, that your roots go deeper than fear. Remember, the storm doesn't reveal weakness, it reveals foundation. And yours has been built upon the rock. When others crumble, you will stand, not because you are strong, but because you are surrendered. The light within you has already outlasted every shadow that dared to approach it. Chosen one. Something powerful is awakening within you. It's been stirring quietly for years, waiting for the right moment to rise. You felt it in flashes, an unexplainable boldness, a sudden clarity, a moment of peace in the middle of chaos. Those weren't random emotions. They were the flickers of the holy fire inside you. What once felt like weakness is transforming into strength. What once felt like silence is turning into sound. Heaven is awakening your power. For so long, you've believed that power looked like noise, like outward confidence or visible authority. But heaven's power begins differently. It starts as stillness, the quiet recognition of who you are in God. Power is not the absence of struggle, it is the ability to remain unmoved in its midst. It is the calm voice that says, "Peace, be still." When the storm roars louder, you were never meant to live timidly. You were designed to walk as one who carries heaven's fire within their bones. That's why ordinary life never satisfied you. It's why your spirit resisted conformity. There's a holy discontent within you that refuses to let you shrink into smallness. The awakening you feel is not ego, it's remembrance. Your spirit is remembering its divine origin. Heaven whispers to you now, stir up the gift I placed within you. There are talents, ideas, and revelations that have been dormant, buried under fear, self-doubt, or exhaustion. But the seal over them is breaking. The winds of change are blowing across your soul, breathing life into what you thought had died. You are not empty, you are pregnant with purpose. The apostle wrote it clearly in his letter to Timothy. Chapter 1, verse 6. Stir up the gift of God, which is in you. That word stir means to reignite, to fan into flame, something that never truly went out. The fire within you didn't die, it simply settled. But heaven is reaching down to your spirit, saying, "Wake up, chosen one. The time for silence is over." Think of your soul as a lantern. Over time, soot and smoke dull the glass. The flame remains, but its glow dims. The world mistakes your dimness for emptiness, but heaven sees the truth. The light is still alive, waiting to be cleaned, fanned, and freed. That's what this moment is. It's the hand of God wiping away the residue of weariness so your flame can shine unobstructed again. You've been through enough storms to know that the flame doesn't go out because of wind, it strengthens because of it. Every gust that tried to extinguish you only gave your fire more oxygen. That's why the battles intensified. Before this awakening, they were building pressure, and pressure produces power. Now, heaven is calling you to stand not as a survivor, but as a torchbearer. Your voice matters. Your story carries light. The world is darker than ever, and you were born for such a time as this. The gifts within you, your compassion, your creativity, your vision are divine instruments. When you use them, you ignite hope in others who've forgotten how to believe. You may think your small acts don't matter, but in the realm of spirit, every spark counts. A single flame can start a wildfire. One honest word, one prayer, one gesture of kindness can alter the course of someone's life. Heaven doesn't need you to be perfect, it needs you to be willing. Chosen one. This awakening is not about status, it's about service. You carry light, not to boast, but to build. And as you do, that light will multiply. You've spent enough time doubting your capacity. Heaven wouldn't have invested this much training in you if you weren't meant to lead others out of darkness. Now, take a moment to reflect. How many times have you been uplifted by words like these? Maybe a message reached you just when you needed it most. Someone shared. Someone spoke. Someone clicked like, and through that act, heaven reached you. You can now be that bridge for another soul. When you engage, when you like, share, or subscribe, it's not about vanity, it's about visibility. You are helping the flame travel farther. Think of it like lighting candles in the dark. The more you share the flame, the brighter the room becomes. You're not promoting a message, you're participating in a mission. Heaven spreads through simple acts. A seed shared can grow into a forest. A single ripple can move an ocean. That's how divine impact works. Quiet, consistent, unstoppable. And when you connect with this flow by staying engaged, by sharing light forward, you become part of heaven's wildfire of awakening. Chosen one. Your fire is rekindling even now. The embers that once smoldered are beginning to blaze. You have not lost your power. You've only forgotten how fierce it truly is. The world needs your flame. your words, your courage. Let the awakening within you burn, unhindered. Let it spread to every heart that still believes dawn can break after the darkest night. Chosen one, there is a sound rising in the spirit, a call for restoration. Heaven is declaring that it is time for you to take back everything that was stolen. You have endured long seasons of loss, where it felt as though piece by piece your peace was stripped away, your voice silenced, your confidence shattered. Yet what the enemy thought he destroyed, heaven preserved. Nothing truly belonging to you was ever lost. It was only delayed until you were ready to hold it with wisdom. You see, reclaiming territory doesn't always mean physical gain. Sometimes it means reclaiming your identity, the version of you that existed before trauma tried to rewrite your worth. The world told you that you were too sensitive, too intense, too much. Heaven says, you were exactly as I designed you to be. This is your moment to reclaim your truth, to remember that your light was never a mistake. Your compassion was never weakness, and your heart was never a burden. Chosen one, think back on the moments when you almost gave up, the times you thought, maybe this is just my life now, but something in you refused to die. That something was heaven's claim on your spirit. Every time you rose after falling, every time you forgave when it hurt, every time you kept walking through the valley, heaven was marking your perseverance as evidence. You didn't know it then, but you were earning authority over the very areas where you were once oppressed. Now, the same spirit that sustained you through those trials says, go back and take it all. Go back into the memories that used to paralyze you and pull out the lessons. Go back into the places of fear and walk with faith this time. Go back into silence and speak truth with the voice you once hid. Reclaiming doesn't mean reliving, it means rewriting. The thief came. Yes, but he didn't win. The night was long, but the dawn came anyway. What was meant to destroy you has become the proof of your resilience. And now, heaven entrusts you with this charge. Reclaim the territory of your peace, your purpose, and your joy. The words of Jesus still carry authority across the ages. Scripture declares in the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verse 10, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life, and have it abundantly. Oh, that abundance is your inheritance, not a vague promise, but a tangible reality that begins in the heart. Abundance is not measured in possessions, it is measured in freedom. The one who walks in peace is wealthier than kings. The one who carries purpose is more powerful than armies. Heaven's abundance is not about having more, it's about no longer being held by less. This restoration is strategic. God is not returning what was lost in its old form, He is upgrading it. Relationships that fell apart will be replaced with divine partnerships. Opportunities that crumbled will be resurrected in higher dimensions. What the enemy took at level 1, God returns at level 10. That is how heaven compensates the faithful. But to reclaim what's yours, you must believe you deserve it. Not because of perfection, but because of promise. The enemy's first theft was never your possessions, it was your confidence. He made you question your worth until you stopped asking for what was rightfully yours. Heaven is restoring not just what was taken, but the boldness to ask again. Chosen one, the season of survival is ending. You are crossing into the season of possession. This means you no longer live, just getting by. You live, taking ground. Your words will carry new weight. Your prayers, new fire. your presence new authority. When you enter a room, atmospheres will shift. You are not who you were when the battle began. You are who the battle built. Do not expect restoration to come quietly. When God restores, it resounds. The very areas where you once whispered in defeat will soon echo with praise, and the people who once doubted your endurance will witness your elevation. You will not have to explain your comeback. Heaven will announce it for you. Chosen one. Reclaim your ground, not in anger, but in grace. The war you fought has refined you into someone unrecognizable to the darkness that once hunted you. You carry the authority of one who has seen both loss and resurrection, both emptiness and overflow. This is the season where your hands will finally hold what your heart has long carried in faith. Chosen one. Heaven is no longer whispering, it is sounding the trumpet. The quiet call of preparation has become a resounding command. You have lingered in waiting long enough. Now is the time to rise and move. Heaven's trumpet call is not a sound of fear, but of awakening. It is the sound that parts the fog, clears the confusion, and marks the beginning of divine action. You can almost hear it in your spirit, a vibration that shakes you awake at night. A pressure in your chest that refuses to let you rest in complacency. This is not anxiety. This is activation. Heaven is announcing that your waiting season is over. You've been faithful in obscurity, steadfast in silence. And now heaven is calling your name before the nations of angels, saying, "It is time." And the trumpet of heaven does not sound for everyone, it sounds for the ready. For those who have endured refining without bitterness, who have carried their cross without applause. You are one of them. You have been tested, tried, and tempered. You are no longer being prepared, you are being deployed. There is an urgency in the spirit now, not of panic, but of purpose. The clock of heaven has struck a new hour. Assignments are shifting. Mantles are being passed. And you are being positioned exactly where you were always meant to stand. The sound you feel in your soul is not external, it's internal resonance with divine timing. Heaven's sound is awakening dormant gifts. It's breaking chains that held you back and silencing the lies that said you weren't enough. Every time the trumpet sounds in your spirit, a new layer of courage is released. You are beginning to speak with authority, to see with clarity, and to move with conviction. The hesitation that once slowed you is being burned away in the fire of obedience. The prophet Isaiah recorded words that echo through eternity, and they speak directly into your moment now. The ancient text declares in Isaiah, chapter 58, verse 1, "Cry aloud. Do not hold back. Lift up your voice like a trumpet." And that is heaven's command to you. Lift your voice, not in arrogance, but in truth. Speak what you've been afraid to say. Declare what you've been shown. There are people waiting for the sound that only your obedience can release. Heaven didn't give you a trumpet just to admire it. It gave it to you to use it. Chosen one. When you speak, chains will break. When you pray, atmospheres will shift. You are not just one among many, you are a messenger. You carry a tone that resonates differently in the spiritual realm. When you open your mouth in alignment with heaven, it's not just you speaking, it's heaven roaring through you. Do not underestimate your voice. It carries the frequency of faith forged through pain. Every trial you endured has tuned your tone. Heaven has been shaping your sound, refining it through fire so that when you finally release it, it pierces darkness like a blade. But this trumpet call is not only for battle, it is also for awakening. You are being called to awaken others. There are souls asleep in comfort, unaware of the war around them, and heaven is using your life as the alarm. Your courage to stand becomes their signal to rise. Your persistence becomes their permission to hope again. The world is shifting quickly. The line between light and shadow grows thinner every day. Heaven's trumpet is sounding because the time for half-hearted faith has ended. The age of passive belief is over. This is the era of active alignment. You are not meant to echo fear, you are meant to release faith. Chosen one. Let this message settle deep into your soul. You were born to sound the alarm. Your obedience will awaken families, restore cities, even spark revival. But first, you must respond personally to the trumpet. When you move, heaven moves with you. And now, as a sign that you hear and agree with heaven's call, comment the number 444 below. This number represents divine alignment, heaven, earth, and spirit moving in perfect order. When you write it, you're declaring, I am in position. I hear the trumpet. I will not delay. No, heaven's sound is ringing even now. Feel it vibrate through your heart, through the walls around you, through the very air you breathe. The trumpet has sounded, and you, chosen one, are the echo that will carry its power to the ends of the earth. Chosen one. When the trumpet of heaven sounds, it does more than awaken, it separates. The voice that calls you higher also divides you from what can no longer walk beside you. You are entering the season of divine distinction, where light and shadow are no longer allowed to mingle in your life. Heaven is cutting away what hinders, pruning what drains, and protecting what must flourish. The separation is not punishment, it's purification. You have probably felt it already. Friendships growing distant, familiar, places feeling unfamiliar, and things that once satisfied you, now leaving a strange emptiness behind. That's not boredom, it's transformation. Heaven is pulling you out of alignment with what cannot enter your next season. You have changed, and the things that once fit no longer do. Many resist this process because separation feels like loss. But it is not loss, it's clarity. The same way a gardener prunes a branch not to harm it, but to make it bear more fruit. Heaven is pruning your connections, habits, and even your thoughts. It hurts. Yes, but the pain is purposeful. Every cut makes room for new growth. Chosen one. Understand this. Every divine separation is also a divine preservation. God is not taking people away to isolate you. He's removing distractions so he can reveal himself more clearly. There were voices around you that diluted your discernment, influences that disguised compromise as peace. Heaven is silencing those sounds so you can hear the true frequency again. This process can be lonely. The path of obedience often is. But solitude is not abandonment, it's sacred space. The wilderness is where the chosen find clarity, where they hear the still small voice without interference. Moses heard it there. Elijah rediscovered it there. Jesus prepared there. And now, it's your turn. The isolation you're feeling is not punishment, it's consecration. The Spirit is whispering to you, do not fear the distance. The distance is where revelation dwells. When God separates you, He is sanctifying you. You cannot carry contamination into your calling. The next level requires purity of heart, focus of mind, and freedom from what once diluted your devotion. Many will not understand your shift. They will say you've changed, and they'll be right. You were never meant to remain in spiritual infancy. Growth requires metamorphosis, and metamorphosis always isolates before it reveals. The caterpillar disappears into darkness before emerging in color. You are in that cocoon now, being reshaped by unseen hands. There will be moments when you look at what's gone and grieve. That's okay, even necessary. But after grief comes gratitude, because you'll realize that what left was never meant to stay. Some connections were seasonal. Some opportunities were distractions dressed as blessings. Heaven removed them not to hurt you, but to heal you. The Apostle Paul once reminded the church of this holy calling. His words, written to the Corinthians, now echo through time. Scripture declares in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 6, verse 17, "Come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord, and touch no unclean thing, and I will receive you." Oh, when? Those words are not about superiority, they are about surrender. To come out means to step into alignment. To be separate means to stop blending truth with compromise. It's the call to live in clarity when the world thrives on confusion. Heaven is not asking you to isolate yourself from people, but to insulate yourself from corruption. Chosen one. This separation is a sign of promotion. When God is about to elevate, He isolates. He removes noise so you can hear new instructions. He gets distractions so you can focus on destiny. You are being positioned, refined, and strengthened. Don't fight the pruning, it's proof that you're fruitful. And remember, the emptiness that follows divine separation always precedes divine filling. When something leaves, something greater is preparing to enter. Heaven never takes without intending to replace. You may not see the replacements yet, but they are being prepared even now. This is the moment to rest in trust. Don't mourn what was, anticipate what will be. The people who left made room for those who will understand the depth of your calling. The opportunities that closed made space for divine assignments designed specifically for your anointing. The silence that surrounds you is not absence, it's preparation. Let heaven finish its work. Let the pruning continue until all that remains is pure, strong, and unshakable. You are being stripped. Yes, but only so you can shine. And when the separation is complete, you'll look around and realize that everything still standing beside you belongs to eternity. Chosen one. Now that you have endured the pruning, heaven prepares to clothe you in new authority. What was stripped from you has made space for a mantle to fall, the mantle of the forerunner. You are not simply meant to survive transformation, you are meant to lead others through it. The anointing that rests upon you is generational. It carries the fragrance of endurance, the wisdom of wilderness, and the purity of one who has walked through fire and still chooses light. A forerunner does not wait for conditions to be comfortable. They walk ahead, clearing paths others fear to take. You may not have realized it, but you've been preparing for this for years. Every trial you overcame was a rehearsal for leadership. Every valley you walked through was heaven's training ground. You were not just learning to endure, you were learning to guide. To carry this mantle means to live with vision that sees beyond the moment. Forerunners feel the pulse of heaven before others sense the rhythm. They speak what others hesitate to voice. They act when others wait. You've always sensed things before they became visible. That sensitivity was not a curse, it was preparation. You are not too early, you are appointed. Remember, this mantle does not come because you sought it. It comes because you endured. Heaven gives authority to those who have been broken enough to wield it with compassion. You know what pain feels like, so you will lead with gentleness. You know what betrayal feels like, so you will guard others' hearts. You know what loneliness feels like, so you will create safe spaces for others to heal. This is what makes your anointing pure power wrapped in empathy. When Elijah's time ended, he didn't simply vanish, he passed his mantle to Elisha. That act was not tradition, it was transference. Heaven never ends with one vessel, it continues through another. The same spirit that rested on Elijah now rests on those willing to carry divine assignments through obedience and courage. You are one of those vessels. The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 3, verse 3, records a prophetic declaration that describes your very purpose. Prepare the way of the Lord, make his paths straight. Those words first belonged to John the Baptist, but their essence belongs to every forerunner who dares to live as a voice instead of an echo. You are not here to repeat what's already been said. You are here to clear the way for what's about to be revealed. To prepare the way means to remove obstacles that prevent hearts from seeing clearly. It means speaking truth when silence is comfortable, standing firm when compromise is easy, and shining light when shadows grow thick. It means becoming a bridge between heaven's intention and earth's resistance. You are that bridge. You stand between what is and what will be, carrying revelation across the gap. You may feel unqualified, but that is the beauty of divine selection. Heaven never chooses the polished, it chooses the purified. Your wounds have become your credentials. The tears you've cried are ink signatures on your spiritual authority. Heaven trusts the broken because they know the cost of pride. That's why you were chosen to lead, not through perfection, but through presence. The mantle of the forerunner is heavy, but it fits you perfectly. It may feel unfamiliar at first, but soon you'll realize you were tailored for it. When you speak, others will feel stirred, though they can't explain why. When you move, atmospheres will shift. The path you clear will not only make room for others, it will leave a legacy. There will be moments when you question the worth of your assignment. You will wonder if anyone notices, if anyone follows, if the effort matters. In those moments, remember, the forerunner's reward is not applause, it's alignment. Heaven keeps record of every act of obedience, every word spoken in truth, every moment you chose purpose over comfort. This mantle carries responsibility, but it also carries protection. When heaven sends someone ahead, heaven surrounds them with unseen guardrails. You may stumble, but you won't fall. You may grow weary, but strength will return. Your path may narrow, but it will never close. Chosen one, your steps now echo with legacy. You are part of heaven's lineage of pioneers, those who go ahead to make way for glory. Others will come behind you, walking paths you paved through prayer and perseverance. And when they do, they will thank God for the one who dared to go first. So wear your mantle with humility, but also with holy confidence. The world does not yet know your full impact, but heaven does. Every word, every act of faith, every unseen decision is building a highway for light. And long after your voice grows silent, the path you cleared will remain. Chosen one. Heaven and earth are both watching now. The record of your choices has been written in invisible ink, and this is the moment when the pages are revealed. This is the great reckoning, not a day of terror, but of truth. The light of heaven is shining upon everything hidden, not to shame you, but to seal your destiny, the things done in secret, your prayers, your perseverance. Your silent acts of obedience are now rising to the surface as evidence of faith. When heaven weighs a life, it does not measure fame or wealth, it measures faithfulness. It looks at the quiet moments when no one was watching, the nights you prayed when you could have given up, the compassion you offered when bitterness would have been easier. Every seed you've sown in hidden soil is now pushing through. The season of harvest is here, and heaven is gathering the fruit of your endurance. You see, judgment, in the eyes of heaven, isn't condemnation, it's confirmation. It's God saying, I saw it all. I kept the record. I am faithful to reward. The great reckoning is the unveiling of justice. Every wrong will be righted. Every loss will be restored. Every lie spoken against you will dissolve under the weight of truth. You don't have to defend yourself. Heaven has already spoken in your defense. Chosen one. This is the moment when obedience becomes vindication. The world may have misunderstood your silence, mocked your patience, or dismissed your faith, but heaven was never blind to your battle. Every yes you whispered to God was written into eternity. Every no you said to temptation became a line of victory in your spiritual record. Now the time of hidden testing has turned into the time of visible reward. The ancient wisdom still holds. The writer of Ecclesiastes recorded in chapter 12, verse 14, For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. These words do not threaten, they affirm. They remind you that nothing escapes heaven's attention. The kindness you gave, the forgiveness you offered, the moments you chose mercy instead of vengeance, all have been accounted for. You thought you were forgotten, but heaven has been calculating every sacrifice. The ledger of grace is about to balance in your favor. This great reckoning also means clarity. Heaven is separating the true from the false, the loyal from the fickle, the pure from the polluted. Some people and situations will fade from your life because their time in your story is complete. Let them go without bitterness. The scales are being balanced, not by your hands, but by divine hands that never misjudge. It's easy to think of reckoning as a courtroom, but think instead of a harvest field. What you're stepping into now is not trial, but gathering. The field of your faith is ready. The fruit of perseverance is ripe. And as heaven gathers what has grown, you will finally understand why certain seasons took so long. You were not being punished, you were being planted. And every seed planted in tears will be reaped in joy. Chosen one. You have walked through enough wilderness to know the value of rain. You've known what it feels like to be misunderstood, underestimated, even betrayed, and yet you never cursed God. That is why heaven is now turning its gaze toward you with favor. The accounts of sorrow are being closed. The chapters of struggle are giving way to songs of triumph. This moment is sacred. You stand at the edge of culmination, where everything begins to make sense. Heaven is lifting the curtain, revealing what was always being built behind the scenes of your pain. And as it does, the world will see what God saw all along, faith that never broke, love that never gave up, light that never went out. If these words echo in your soul, take a breath and let gratitude rise. Because you're not just hearing a message, you're standing in fulfillment. You are living proof that obedience outlasts opposition, that faith triumphs over failure, that grace always finishes what it starts. And as this message settles, if it has stirred something deep within you, let your response be simple yet sincere, like a single candle that spreads its light to others. Help this flame travel. Click like, not as an empty gesture, but as a small amen to heaven's justice. Share it, so another soul standing in their own reckoning might find hope in yours. Subscribe, not out of habit, but to remain connected to the river of truth that keeps flowing through words like these. And when you've done that, let your heart speak once more. Write a comment below, perhaps just a line of gratitude, a reflection, or even a single sentence that says, "I receive this," because sometimes one honest response is enough to turn revelation into reality. Chosen one, your record is clean, your reward is near, and your purpose is unfolding. The great reckoning has come not to end your story, but to announce your beginning. Chosen one, you have walked through the furnace and come out shining. The battle has left marks on your soul. Yes, but they are not scars of defeat. They are the proof of endurance, the evidence of faith that refused to bow. Heaven has seen the nights you stood, trembling but did not collapse. The moments you cried, yet kept moving. The prayers you whispered, even when your voice shook. Now the time of endurance has reached its reward. This is the hour of crowning. The crowns of heaven are not made of gold that tarnishes or jewels that fade. They are made of glory, the radiance of those who stayed faithful when the world grew dark. Your crown, chosen one, is not a symbol of superiority, but of survival. It is heaven's acknowledgement that you endured what could have broken you. You didn't just survive the storm, you learned to dance in the rain. You see, endurance in the kingdom is not passive waiting, it's active trust. It's standing when logic says, fall. Believing when sight says doubt. It's choosing peace in chaos. Forgiveness in betrayal. Hope in hopelessness. Every time you did that, a thread of light was woven into your crown. And now, as heaven watches, those threads are being gathered into brilliance. You have earned this not through perfection, but through persistence. God never required flawlessness from you. He required faithfulness. You stumbled, yes, but you got back up. You questioned, but you kept walking. You wept, but you did not wander away. And that, beloved, is endurance. The Apostle Paul once wrote of such a reward, a promise preserved for the steadfast. Scripture declares in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8, henceforth there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the judge, will award to me and to all who love his appearing. Those words are not distant history, they are prophecy fulfilled in you. The crown of righteousness is not an ornament waiting in eternity. It is the visible glory beginning to rest upon your life even now. It's the peace that no storm can shake, the confidence that no criticism can diminish, the joy that survives every season. The righteous judge is not handing you a trophy, he is restoring your radiance. Chosen one, heaven celebrates endurance because endurance reveals Love. Only love can make a heart keep believing when reward seems far away. Only love can keep forgiving when wounds are fresh. Only love can keep serving when no one says thank you. And it is love, divine, relentless, unbreakable, that has carried you to this moment. There is a beauty to those who have endured. Their eyes shine differently. Their words carry authority because they speak from experience, not theory. You have become one of those. You don't merely talk about faith, you have lived it in the dark. You don't simply quote hope, you have clung to it when nothing else made sense. That authenticity is what gives your light its weight. Heaven crowns you, not for escaping pain, but for transforming it. You took ashes and made them incense. You took grief and turned it into compassion. You took loss and let it birth wisdom. Everything that once hurt you has now become part of the glory you carry. And the crown you receive is not just for you, it radiates for others. Those who look upon your life will see what survival looks like when guided by grace. You will become a living testimony that faith does not protect from storms, but preserves through them. Your endurance will inspire others to keep going. And every time they rise because of your example, your crown will shine brighter still. Do not mistake the silence after victory for emptiness. The stillness you feel now is the hush that follows triumph, the moment when heaven pauses to honor what you've become. The battlefield is behind you, and though the ground is littered with memories, you stand in light. The same winds that once opposed you now carry your fragrance upward as worship. Chosen one. Wear your crown humbly, but never hide it. It's not arrogance to carry evidence of God's faithfulness, it's gratitude made visible. Let your light shine, not to glorify yourself, but to testify that endurance was worth it, because it was. Every tear, every night, every prayer, they all converged here. You are the proof that no weapon formed against you could prosper. You are the living fulfillment of the promise that faith endures. And now, heaven calls you not wounded, not weary, but crowned. The time of striving is over. The time of shining has begun. Chosen one. The day long foretold has arrived. Heaven's voice now speaks, not in warning, but in fulfillment. The journey that began with trembling and tears has led you here to the place where revelation becomes reality. You are standing in the morning light after a long night of wrestling, and the words echo once more through eternity. I warned you this day would come. Yet hear this clearly, it is not a warning anymore. It is a proclamation. The promise is alive. This is the threshold where endings and beginnings meet. The old season bows, and the new one rises like dawn over your spirit. You can feel the air change. It's lighter now. You have walked through fire, through wilderness, through silence, and all of it was preparation. Heaven never wastes a single season. Every delay was discipline. Every heartbreak was refinement. Every unanswered prayer was a seed planted in unseen soil. You have now entered the harvest of that unseen work. The tears you sowed in private are blooming into public joy. The faith that once wavered under pressure now stands like an unshakable pillar. You no longer beg for proof of purpose. You are the proof. Your life itself has become a living prophecy of what endurance and grace can create when they work together. The battle that once terrified you no longer has power. You have learned that storms cannot drown those who walk with the one who commands the waves. You no longer fear the unknown because you've discovered that the unknown is just the next chapter of divine intention. Heaven has moved you from surviving to reigning, from questioning to declaring. You have become what the enemy feared you would be: awakened, anointed, and aware. Chosen one. Everything has led to this moment. The voice that once warned you of coming storms now declares your victory through them. The day has come when you no longer need to chase validation, because heaven's approval has already sealed you. You walk not as one searching for light, but as one carrying it. You are no longer waiting for permission, you have divine commission. This is what heaven meant when it said you were chosen. You were not chosen because of perfection, but because of purpose. You were not called because you had strength, but because you had surrender. Every weakness became a place where God's glory could rest. Every flaw became an opening for grace to flow. You were never meant to impress heaven, you were meant to embody it. Look back for a moment, and you'll see the golden thread that runs through your entire story. The times you thought you were abandoned were when you were being carried. The doors that shut in your face were the ones that would have trapped you. The endings that broke your heart were actually beginnings disguised as loss. Heaven was not silent, it was strategic. You were being positioned for impact. Now, as you step fully into your calling, the atmosphere shifts. The earth recognizes your authority. The unseen realms acknowledge your identity, and heaven's power flows unhindered through your obedience. You have become a conduit of divine presence where you walk. Peace follows where you speak. Truth awakens. You are no longer the one searching for miracles. You are the vessel through which miracles manifest. The ancient prophecy still resounds, spoken through Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Alfi, that is not a future instruction, it is your present reality. You have arisen. You are shining. The glory that once seemed distant now rests upon you. It is visible in your resilience, audible in your words, tangible in your presence. The darkness around you can no longer dim what heaven has ignited within you. Chosen one. This day marks more than a turning point. It marks a coronation. You are stepping into the realm of divine authority, where your prayers shift atmospheres and your faith unlocks futures. You will see what others called impossible. You will speak, and doors will respond. You will walk, and territories will change. Heaven trusts you now with what it once had to protect you from. Do not look to the past anymore. The warnings have served their purpose. The storms have done their work. The refining has finished its course. Now comes the reward of readiness, the peace that follows obedience, the authority that follows endurance, the glory that follows surrender. The day heaven warned you about was never meant to frighten you, it was meant to prepare you. And now that it has arrived, you understand it wasn't the day of destruction, it was the day of destiny. Lift your head. Chosen one. The battle is behind you. The crown rests upon you, and the light within you is unstoppable. Heaven's message has been fulfilled. The day has come, and your purpose begins now. Chosen one. You have reached the end of this message, but heaven's voice continues beyond these words. This is not a closing, it's a commissioning. You've walked through revelation after revelation, and now the divine whisper leaves you with one truth. You were never ordinary, and you were never alone. Everything that has been spoken was to awaken the light already burning inside you. Now, Carry that light forward. Let it guide your choices, your words, your days. Share it with someone who's still walking through the night, because you may be the reminder heaven sends to them. When you like or share this message, you're not spreading content, you're scattering seeds of awakening. Somewhere, a weary soul will see your small act and find the courage to rise again. Stay connected to this space, where heaven keeps pouring truth into hearts like yours. Subscribe if you haven't yet, not out of habit, but out of hunger to stay aligned with the flow of revelation. And when you comment below, let it be more than text, let it be a testimony. Say something simple, something real, something like, I receive it, or I am ready. Your story continues. Chosen one, and heaven is still writing